Welcome to the Weirdo and Beardo podcast. Ryan Bender.
Which one are you again?
I'm the weirdo. I thought.
You're weirdo?
I mean, we're on the opposite sides.
Dude, I got to not
I don't know.
shave. Oh, you know what? You're right.
I could get him to flip it. Maybe.
I don't know that it matters all that much.
I don't think it does. But
I think they can tell by looking which one we are. And if they've ever met me, they for sure know which one we are.
yeah. You're the tall one.
I'm the tall one with no hair.
Yeah, we finally got the logo up there. That's good.
It's good. Coming along.
So you performed on Sunday.
Yeah.
I have to say, down at Mic Drop Mania, and I have to say that was the best, by far, I've ever seen you perform any act ever.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
What was weird about that, and you wouldn't have thought that coming into it, so they had told me that I had 15 minutes, which was a ton of time.
Well, that's what you told me originally.
Yeah, so I was nervous about that. I'm like, okay, I got a lot of work to do. And then I realized as I went through, I had more content than I thought. It was about restructuring it and making some new segues and things like that. So I was good. But the problem was we didn't have the turnout that we had hoped. And so they decided to cut the time for people because the club wasn't going to make the money that they thought, right? So,
yeah.
So I get there and I'm planned on 15. They said I had 15 and I was getting about 13 running through it myself clean without a lot of pause.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm probably right at 15. I get there and they're like, you've got 10. And I was like, wait, what?
Because that's not easy.
No.
I get it if they've never done a stand-up act.
Yeah.
That what the fuck? Just take out part of it.
Yeah.
Know? Well, no, it's actually way harder than that.
Yeah.
Like you have intros upon intros. You know, the one leads to the next.
Yeah.
In most cases.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not easy. But you killed it in what? Just under 11 minutes.
Yeah, it ended up being about 11.
And again, you also couldn't have asked for a more comedian friendly audience.
That
like
was wild.
Again, everybody was going nuts.
You'd have thought there was 3 times as many people there.
Yeah,
you seriously. Know, it was the most responsive crowd that I've ever been in front of, which was awesome.
Right.
And I think,
it's like opposite of last time you did it there.
Yeah, exactly. And like I think that the thing when they told me that I had to cut my time down, yes, I pulled out a bit that saved me some time, but it also forced me to move quicker. So I think it was a blessing in disguise.
Well, and in watching some of the other ones, I did notice that your introductory jokes, you'd pulled from one of your sets that you did in the past, right? And I think that those jokes, there's just so many laughs per minute that I just think that that's one of the reasons it went so well.
Yeah. Yeah, doing something that I knew if I got...
You set the tone.
Yeah, I knew I knew the final 5 minutes was going to be really good because it was stuff that I've done before that I knew worked really well.
Yeah.
So I knew that I just had to get the first half of it nailed down and the second half would carry itself.
Right.
So, but I think the fact that I had to go at such a fast pace kept it moving really quickly. You combine that with a very responsive crowd. I mean, they were laughing at setups.
Right. But I mean,
I've never had that happen before.
But again, that initial part where you're talking about, hanging out with the partiers and things like that. There's just so many laughs in there. It's great content. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. That new opening is good. And the last time that I went there, when I looked at the video of myself, I realized I droned on for a minute without really getting any. I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Well, and the other thing is anytime I go to a comedy show, I want to laugh for the guy up there. For one, I like laughing. Mm-hmm. For two, especially with
you want to support him
with where we were sitting.
Yeah.
At your show,
you were on top of us,
right up front. No, you were on top of us.
Yeah, I could have put my nuts in your drink.
I would preferred if you did.
Yeah, I probably should next time.
But so I want to laugh, but sometimes someone's just not I'll give them a little courtesy at first, right? But then eventually, and it's and I'm kind of waiting for them to make me laugh. Whereas when someone leads with some hard-hitting jokes right out of the gates, right? I think it just sets the energy for that performance.
Yeah, I agree. One of the big goals that I had going into it was get a laugh and do it right away. Mm-hmm. And so when I walked up there, I was I said, thanks for coming out on a Sunday. I was because fuck Monday morning, that's why. And so right off the bat, I got a little chuckle.
Which wasn't a super funny joke.
Not super funny, but it's they appreciated it. You know what I mean? And then kind of got into a bit that was, that got some laughs right off the bat. But in the first minute, I got a lot of laughter, set the tone, and I moved fast because I had to.
You had laughs in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
And I think that speed
helps.
Played a big part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you got to keep it moving. And it's like, it almost fucked me because I'm like, 15 minutes, I can relax and breathe into it. I think that's the wrong approach. I think it's like, keep the hits coming.
Yeah.
Keep the laughter going and just smash it for 15 minutes and don't get lazy. Like you got to move at a fast pace. You know?
And I told you already, but one major difference too is like I know you really well, right? And so there's been times in some shows, and don't take this the wrong way, but where I feel like you're going quick and you sound like Ryan and you look like Ryan, but something's not Ryan, right? Yeah. Whereas this one, it was literally like you were just up there fucking telling jokes at the bar.
Yeah, I felt really relaxed. It was weird how that worked because I was nervous getting there because of how long my set was.
Yeah.
Then I was panicking when they told me I had to change it. That just caused stress right off the bat. But I think maybe that was the best thing that could have happened is it made me focus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I moved,
it was good.
Yeah, I moved really fast. It was fun. It was the most relaxing I felt. So I appreciate the props.
No, it went, like I said, you did it right.
Yeah.
So for sure. And then I'm sure you got the same feedback from everyone. Though I've probably been to more of your shows than most of those people.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Kat.
Yeah. But she gave me great feedback too. She said it was the best that she's seen. And then I have a couple of people that were there had been to a few.
I leaned over to her and said, I think that's the best I've ever, afterwards. And she goes, yeah, me too. No, that was good.
Yeah, she really liked it. So that was a ton of fun. I like playing that place because I get more time than any of that open mic stuff, which is super cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the club. It's definitely a hot room. Like that small crowd was pinging laughter around. You can see the acoustics make a difference.
They did it right though, in that they sat everybody here and from here to here, right? They didn't let people get their space. You were still kind of cramped in there.
Yeah.
And I think that helps a lot.
100%.
Laughter definitely breeds laughter.
Yeah.
So
the energy and momentum are real. And we got, for anybody who hasn't a chance to see it yet, we uploaded that to the YouTube channel last night.
Yep.
Jimmy and I did over a couple of beers.
Yep.
And that's up. We got another podcast episode up, so we're starting to get some content out there, which is cool.
Yeah. We're getting things going.
Yeah.
So
it's fun.
I can't say enough about how well that went. It was fun too.
Thanks.
So you have another one coming up, right? So or two more.
Yeah, there's a couple of things happening. And I think that's one of the really exciting things is when you're doing it kind of consistently, it just makes it so much easier. Like I feel like you can make progress as opposed to doing it once every couple of months the way we used to.
Yeah.
I think the way that this is working is really doing well. So I've got the second round of that contest Tuesday night, the 8th. So August 8th, I'm doing round 2 of the funniest comic in the Valley contest at Cactus Jack's in Ahwatukee.
Yeah.
And it's a fun place. It's a big joint. You can come in and party, full bar setup. So it's been good.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah.
I still prefer sort of the comedy club setting for comedy, but you sit back in your chair and stuff. And I don't mind in most cases sitting on a high top, right? But in that setting, I just like I said, I don't know. That's my only beef with that, but it was still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had a lot of old friends there.
That's true.
That was great.
Yeah. And
that one thing that surprised me with that club. So if I can get the shit out of my mouth, I'll tell you. But, with that show in general, was it just did not seem like as comic friendly of a crowd as you'd expect for that sort of event.
I would agree with that. And I think the way that it's just physically set up, because it's more of like a music venue.
Yeah.
Like they're far from you. Like everyone's far from you.
That's true.
When you're on that stage. True. I mean, if you see the video of the last time I was up there.
It is set up like a music venue because that's normally what they do there. They don't normally do comedy.
Right. But you can't even see, like in the video, you can't even see any people because they're so far off the stage.
I didn't even think of that, but you're absolutely right.
So you don't get the feedback, which makes it a little tougher. Right. You can barely see because they're kind of out there and the lights make it a little weird to even see anybody. So it is very different It's the exact opposite of being at Mic Drop Mania the other night.
Right,
Where
you're
everyone's right in front of me.
right on it.
Yeah, I could touch them.
Yeah.
So that made it really, really different. But I got the second round of that going on.
Yeah, you're right on it, and it's kind of a shallow stage, too,
It's a
at
shallow
Mic Drop
stage.
Mania.
It's all very different. But I feel like anything, experience is good. So they've gone from like 130 comedians, and we're going through. My night is the last of the second rounds, and I think they're down to 40 or something.
Yeah.
And then they're going to take the top 20 and go into 2 more nights later in August. And I think the final round of this is, I think everything gets wrapped up in August for that show.
Okay.
But so I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
And that's 5 minutes again on Tuesday on the 8th again.
Okay.
Cactus Jacks in Ahwatukee. But Tony Visick, who is the promoter, who's been doing all of these events, the ones at Mic Drop, the one at Cactus Jacks, the one that I did last year at JP's in Gilbert. Good guy, comic back in the day in LA, owned a club, has got a couple of Showtime specials. I mean, the guy's, he's been around the block. He asked me if I wanted to do a roast of him, and that's going to be on Friday the 11th at the Tempe Center for the Arts.
Okay.
Performance Center for the Arts, and it's a really cool venue. I played there before. The room is awesome. It's a super cool venue.
Yeah, I wasn't able to go last time you performed.
Yeah, it's a really cool room. It's really nice. It looks good. You've got like the river out behind you and the Tempe lights and everything. So the backdrop is super cool. It looks like you're in a giant city.
Oh, that's cool.
These big drapes, huge windows. Like it's a really fun room.
Like
it looks
you're playing a fucking
it looks
auditorium.
legit. Yeah, it looks legit. So it's a really cool place to be, and it's going to be fun to roast him. I haven't known him as long as some of the other people there.
Right. But you're funny.
Yeah, and that's going to.
So
and I've never done a roast.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, I've never done a roast. I officiated a couple of weddings where I kind of roasted my friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just informally. But this is legit. Go up and just fuck with this dude, and I'm going to light his ass on fire.
They roasted me when I left University of Phoenix.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been a part of that.
Yeah. Everyone, fuck yeah, I'm doing that, And I wore a suit with suspenders and just, played
the whole thing up?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. They rented a room over at Enchiladas. They have like separate, I don't know what you call it, like haciendas or whatever, that they do catered events and stuff. But it was full menu, but they did it in there. We had audio equipment.
Who set up the roast? Like, whose idea it was?
One of my buddies.
Just a bunch of friends? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be fun. It's, it's like, I've seen enough of those roasts on Comedy Central and shit. It's like, I guess I'm just going to light his ass on fire. That's what everybody does. You know?
Yeah. It was, well, not only that, we all worked together too. So, like, it was, again, you get up there to roast them and you make fun of everybody. Because you all know each other.
Yeah.
You worked there. It was, that was, but it was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I started writing jokes about the roast, and it's like, I don't know him as well as some other people. I don't really know the other people that'll be there, so I'm kind of on an island.
Yeah.
But I figure it's a chance to do something different, test my skill sets, write some jokes, be mean.
Right.
Fuck with this dude, So we'll see how it goes. But looking forward to that. So 2 gigs next week. So that's cool. That's more than I normally do,
Yeah, mine didn't have any professional comedians.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit different.
Jack Smithson was probably one of the better ones.
Oh, I could see him doing well.
Yeah.
I forgot he worked there too. Yeah, so I think the roasting will be different, you know what I mean? And then hopefully I make it through Tuesday's round, and then I'll have another round on the 22nd. And so there's going to be, I got at least 3 gigs probably lined up in the next week and a half.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So we made it through that a little faster than I expected.
Yeah, that was kind of quick. We got the dates out there. We got the announcements.
So how are you coming up with roast jokes?
Yeah.
I mean, that's because, that's not something we've done.
It's kind of funny, like the way that I grew up as a kid, and then when I got to college, the group of friends that I was with, that's kind of what we did. We would just carve each other.
Just
and
informally.
I think guys do it. Yeah, and I think guys do.
I
think guys do it in general. You know what I mean? Women don't. I don't feel like women sit around and just fuck with each other.
But again, that's off the cuff stuff.
Yeah,
right?
and it
so
makes it fun.
You're having to. So most of the time when you and I or a group of friends are making fun of each other, jabbing each other, it's based on, so one person, I say something and then you come back with something, or someone else says something and then you come back and then you pile on with something else, right? But where in this case you're actually still having to set them all up.
Yeah.
Right? So it's still, I mean, more like stand-up comedy than sitting around bullshitting. I'm not trying to intimidate you with this. But
no, you're right.
I mean,
you just got to go out there and have at it, Yeah. And so really what I've tried to do is just like, what do I know about this dude? You know, what are the data points that I know about him?
Yeah.
And then what's funny about it?
Right.
How do I be harsh and kind of give him a hard fucking
funny
time?
about it?
Yeah, is there anything funny about it? And then put together jokes. Like, I know the dude used to be a comedian, and now he's, promoting other guys. I know that he used to be a drug addict and a recovering alcoholic. I'm not saying anything he wouldn't be sitting here saying himself.
Yeah. No, his comedy was fucking on point.
Oh yeah, dude,
at your show.
Yeah, he's good, dude.
That is the one thing when we feel like we do well at our shows where we're with a bunch of amateurs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even with, again, you killed it, okay? But you could tell with that he is, again, he's still on a different level.
Yeah.
Like, no offense,
No,
but
dude, he's been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah. Well, you were saying the other night that, even with doing it for a couple years and, shows, for the most part, as much as we can, and stuff, you're like, I think I have 2.5, 3 hours of
stage time.
You're
you don't realize it's nothing.
Yeah, that's nothing.
It's nothing.
But when you're doing these 5-minute sets and bullshit like that,
you just don't get, it doesn't pile up.
If 11 minutes is your longest show to date, right?
Yeah, it's just a very, very different animal. But that's why I think it'll be interesting, because the guy has been successful and he's been really, really cool to me. So all that's been really, really fun. But he is just like a gruff fucker. And one of the things that he told me that I thought was funny, he says, what a lot of these comedians out here doing these open mics don't realize is how friendly of a crowd you're getting.
Yeah.
He's like, you go try pulling that shit in LA,
right.
Even what you think are good sets, you go out there and do that for those guys, you're gonna get fucking murdered.
No, I believe
you try doing that shit in New York or LA, they will fucking crush you.
And
he's like, you're getting
a siren going.
Are they coming for you?
Yeah, probably.
I don't think it's me. But that's what he said. He's like, you don't realize how friendly these crowds. You go out there on the road and just do neutral crowds who don't give a fuck about you or know you. It's a whole different game. So I've been thinking about that.
Well, and that's where, and you and I have talked about this before, but it'd be interesting to go out, and I guess I have done some. I mean, I've done some open mics where I didn't have hardly anyone there.
Right.
And I thought it was still similar as far as the response goes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still an open mic crowd.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they're friendly. They're there to see somebody.
At the same, yes, but I keep saying at the same time because I'm just thinking through this in my head. But also, you have a lot of people who probably wouldn't normally go to a comedy show.
Right. I think that's the idea. They want you to come out and realize that it's fun. Come see some other fucking comedians. Realize the club is here.
Well, but yeah, I understand from a marketing perspective why that's why that's.
You know something about marketing?
I might. But that guy. I don't know. I don't know who's who.
Yeah, I can't tell. Both handsome.
Both look like they have at least average sized penises.
At least average.
Maybe sub-average.
Well, if you put them together, it's for sure an average.
If we dock it, it's one total penis.
If we dock it. Totally.
But the kind of lost my train of thought with that, but
the neutral crowd.
Oh yeah. It would be interesting. Oh, what I was saying with those crowds, though, I also think that they're like, you remember last time I went up, right? Over at Tempe Improv.
Yes.
That was, it was technically a friendly crowd, I guess, but everyone was like, "Fuck! Like, what's the matter with these people?"
Right.
These guys,
It was a weird lineup.
Weird lineup, and it always is at those things, But it was also the crowd, there was that one group that was just killing the energy in the room. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, down on the basically opposite of us from the stage.
Yep.
And those guys were just it's well, what the fuck are you doing here? I get that someone probably begged you to come,
right?
But fuck,
you look mad.
Yeah, you just look pissed off.
And it's funny, when I was at this last gig, 99% of that smaller crowd was having a blast and they were really into it. I would look into the crowd and see actually there's a couple of guys that were performing that night and they were just mad dogging me.
Yeah, you told me that.
They wouldn't.
What the fuck is that?
I'm not going to drop names. I know their names, but I'm not going to drop names. But it's they looked at me like they were mad.
Probably because you were doing better.
That could be.
I'm not saying that just as your friend.
Or they're just gauging me. I don't know, trying to size me up. I don't know.
Something like that. Is there any real competition? It's not at your other show where it is a competition.
Yeah.
No one's doing that.
Dude, when I look at the table and people are fucking pounding the table, cracking up, just busting up, and there's this one dude.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not me. Your friends are laughing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. Whatever. I mean, yeah, go fuck themselves.
Yeah,
but
whatever. Fuck them.
My friends can beat up your friends.
Yeah, exactly. But in my case, it's true.
But yeah, that is interesting. But it would be interesting to go into a cold crowd. I almost did it.
I want to.
I almost did it once. I was in Spokane a few years ago for Christmas or whatever, and my brother-in-law and his daughter and her boyfriend, they wanted to go. I think because I was doing it, right? So they wanted to go to an open mic and this and that. And the comedians were freaking horrible. I mean, it was bad.
Good to see it's not just
not just us.
Yeah.
But that's also a smaller market.
Yeah.
Much smaller market. But the comedians, I mean, everyone was people were pulling out papers and reading. And though I saw that too on Sunday.
It's 5 minutes. Memorize your fucking jokes.
Like, what the fuck,
dude? Learn your jokes.
Have you ever thought about taking notes up? I mean, I've thought about, hey, it would be nice.
Yeah. If you got lost, it'd be nice to see that. You know what I mean?
Even when I'm practicing, I won't look at the notes unless I'm completely blank-headed.
No.
Then I pause or I end it.
No,
right?
Even with 15 minutes, I didn't do it. You know what I mean?
The way that I practice, I don't know if you do this, but the way that I practice is I just walk around with my phone, right, in the room, and record myself going through it, and then I listen to it back at least once. Right? And then I record myself and then listen to it back. I'm very much an audio learner, right? And so that's how I memorize it, right? So, there's been times where it's like the first, and I can't remember a transition, or I can't, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so all right, well, that's done with that fucking video, and end it and then redo it again. But I've never, ever even considered bringing notes on, it's like you said, it's 5 minutes, it's 15 minutes, whatever, right? If you get the opportunity to do that,
learn your lines.
Do it. Yeah, learn your fucking lines.
I can't understand it. It's funny. I don't even, the first couple of times I did open mics, I recorded myself. Now, I don't even record myself. I just check time. So like when I run through it, all I do is click, how long is this? I run through what I do. I'll look at myself in the mirror when I do it maybe, but I don't record myself and play it back anymore. I probably should. But I don't, and then I stop when I'm done and say, okay, does this fit the time frame? You know?
And again, that's part of the reason for recording it.
Yeah.
But I also, again, it's part of my memorization process.
Yeah.
It's also part of where I can identify. Sometimes listening to it back, I'll either identify I should chop that, or I'll think of a compounding joke on something, on a punchline or on something, or a setup joke, right? And so, I should. So then I'll try that again on the next time I do it. So I guess it's not just memorization; it's also part of the development process for me.
I think it's a good idea. I think I should do it more often. I think the reason that I didn't do it this time is because most of the bits I did, I already had, so I kind of knew them. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have to really. Yeah. And it was just adding a couple of things to it. So
well, with the last time I did it, it was almost harder because I knew not all, but most of the bits within my set. But I was wanting to trim them a lot. I was wanting to cut some things out.
Yeah.
Reduce how many words per sentence or per, how many words I have to say per joke. Isn't that you that was telling me about
Seinfeld?
That's a Jerry Seinfeld thing?
Yeah, that's from Seinfeld.
Get the joke across. I know it's not you original.
Yeah, get the joke across in as few words possible.
Yeah. And so it was, there was a lot of that. So it was almost harder for me, because I had habits of saying things a certain way. Like I could get through that set the way that I did it before without practicing, more or less, right? I mean, read over it once.
Yeah,
I'm good.
But you wanted to make it better.
But I was trying to make it better. Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's where, for me, that practice comes into place.
Yeah. I think recording is a good move. I would advise anybody to do that. You want to see what you look like delivering stuff. You know what I mean? You want to see when you're energetic, what you're doing. I think it's a good idea.
Well, and I don't usually even record it that way necessarily. It's more of I'll hold my phone almost like I mean, not even like a selfie, just like I've got it. You're looking at my nose more or less, right? But that's it works. For me, as far as memorization, I can't read something over and over and memorize it.
Yeah, I got you.
That doesn't work for me.
Oh, I get it.
especially not 5 minutes of something.
Yeah, it's funny how like if I didn't have it all written out this time, but had I had it all written out, it'd have been a lot of pages to get to fucking 11 minutes or 12, whatever the fuck it was. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a lot.
I can't imagine. The only way I could think, the way these guys do like a 1 hour special and shit like that.
It's fucking crazy.
The only thing I can think of is that they must just memorize segments.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know how else you do it.
Yeah. Well, I think they've always been adding to things. And I think that they go on tour and do it over and over and over.
But I'm just talking initially.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually, you got it. No
well,
problem.
like I've seen, it's funny, you talk about not bringing notes on stage. I went and saw Tom Segura, who's as big as anybody, at Stand Up Live, and he brought up a notebook.
Yeah.
Because he's like, literally, it's new shit, and he would like look at he put it on the stool next to him like people do.
Okay.
And he would go through it like, where we at? And like, I think these guys aren't afraid to do that.
Right.
When they've got, and I get it if you're doing an hour.
And if you're funny.
And if you're doing an hour.
Fuck. Like,
and you're working on brand new material.
An hour and you're funny.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, again, a lot of the guys that are checking their shit, like, it's like, well, you kind of suck.
You're dying. Just pick up your phone and walk away.
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. You're
Yeah,
wasting my time. I'm trying to see Ryan.
Yeah, there's right. There's some cringeworthy shit that happens in those. That's ideally I'm going to get away from the open mic stuff and do way more of like this mic drop thing. But it's hard to fucking do that, you know.
And it's hard to find people too.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I haven't crossed the chasm yet of figuring that out. But also my material needs some work too. It just takes time. Delivery. I think that's part of where I'm at right now. I think that there's less like. There's some jokes that could be worked on. I could find I could do new material, whatever, right? But I think more than that, I need to work on my presence, right? Which is something that I wasn't really anticipating because I do have a lot of experience either doing video or doing doing in front of people, doing different stuff, right? But for whatever reason, I don't think that I'm I think you give someone who's really good. Who knows how to deliver it and give them my jokes. Like I think that they would go over better than the last time I performed them. So that's one thing that I'm going to try to work on is not just getting through it, but actually like delivering punchlines the way that they need to. And you know what I mean? Things that are going to, just enhance things for the audience, which is ultimately who's giving you energy back.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that, there's no shortcut to experience. I just think you got to get out there and do it a bunch more times.
Yeah.
Because you'll deliver it better when you feel more comfortable. And if you're only doing it as often as you've been doing it, which isn't often,
I know,
you never really get.
And that's on me.
You're just fighting the same current all the time.
The other thing is it's tough to, for those open mics and stuff where you got to bring people out, it's tough to get people out consistently. I mean, you know this.
That's the hardest part of the game.
And it's even harder when I have another friend who's definitely further along.
Yeah.
That also does it. Who's friends with all them too.
Yeah, that's true too. Well, and that's the hard thing is like I literally have to think about when I'm doing it more consistently. That makes it really hard to say how are you going to drive people to come?
That's right.
At this level, like you're responsible for your own crowd. No one's going to see me because I'm in. Like it's got to be friends, and so like that's the hard part when you're doing a bunch of shows together. How do I decide what to prioritize?
We're not friends. I'm just a fan. Just to be clear.
God, I wish I had more of that in my life. But it's like, you and I talked about it. It's like you almost have to have a strategy and like, okay, I'm doing this contest and I'm doing this paid gig and I've got this roast going on, like, and they're all within 8 days of each other. Like, what do you drive people to? Because they're not going to come to all of it.
Right.
I don't care how good of a friend of mine you are. You're not coming to all of it. Yeah. So it's like that's the hard. That's
even
one of the
I don't come to all of them.
No, it's one of the hardest parts about it.
Nor do you come to all of mine.
No,
like it's
fuck. My own wife doesn't show up to some of my gigs.
Try to make it.
Yeah, and that's the way it is with everybody. That's why I think you just got to have a big enough crowd, group of friends, a little bit of a social media following that you can get a few people to all of it. That's hard.
That's part of why we're doing this.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. That is exactly why.
To get people out.
Yeah, it's hard. And the one thing that keeps me motivated about this is a lot of the people who started coming to see me do open mics told me afterward how much they just enjoyed going out to see comedy. They hadn't really done it much or they hadn't done it in a long time. They forgot how much they enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And just going out and seeing some of these gigs, they're like, fuck, it's fun to go see comics. Now, I've always been a huge stand-up fan.
Me too.
So I've always gone to see a ton of comedy. You go see a good comic, dude, it's fucking amazing.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just kill you and you have a great time. Who doesn't like to laugh and enjoy what they're doing?
Well, and I'll watch it. Like, I have just as much fun, if not more, watching a Netflix special with a comedian, a good comedian, as I do watching a comedy movie.
Yeah.
It's more fun.
It's more fun.
It's funnier.
I watch mostly what I'm looking at. If you break my TV viewing into a pie chart, the biggest piece of pie is going to be stand-up comedy.
Right.
And comedies. Those make up the biggest things. But I love watching.
Sports.
Yeah, and sports.
You watch more sports.
Well, I did ever since I cut the cable. I've only got
Oh, look at you.
I know. So I got to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do for football season, but that's a whole other issue. I hear YouTube TV might be the way to go.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And the thing with me is, it's not about just watching the game. It's like, I want to be able to record it and watch it when I want to. Right. So I don't want to stream it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm a college football fan. I don't watch games at 9 o'clock in the fucking morning. You know what I mean? I want to record them and watch them later on.
Yeah, you might have some trouble.
But you can do that with YouTube TV.
Well, can you get, for DirecTV, can you get just the app to where you can have it on your phone and cast it up?
I don't.
Or do you have
think
to
you
have
have
the
to have
whole
it with a
fucking
provider.
thing?
Yeah, I think
or
you have.
just the. I guess NFL ticket wouldn't work.
Yeah, so I'm kind of fucked.
Can you get like the Big Ten?
Yes, the Big Ten's good,
Can
but
you get that separate?
The Buckeyes aren't on the Big Ten; they're on regular TV.
Oh,
so
yeah,
I think I can just get a regular antenna and pick up some of the local shit regardless, because Ohio State's always on national TV. The problem is I don't want to watch it when it's on.
Well, I
want to watch it hours later.
We'll get a DVR.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Either get a DVR or get YouTube TV. But that's the thing.
Though I don't know if a DVR would work. I mean, you'd have to have the game playing. I think you'd have to have the TV on with like an antenna or whatever. I mean, I just run an antenna personally, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
So I got to look into that. And
I'm not a hardware guy.
Yeah, we're what, 4 weeks away from the season starting, so I got to figure some shit out.
Yeah.
And some games I'll just go out and watch live or to borrow some friends, but most of the time, I like to record the game and watch it in the afternoon. I try to get some shit done early.
One of my favorite things was when I watched an Ohio State game with you. You were recording.
Good
and
luck.
I was like, no, you're done. You're like, yeah, we watched that one, and you're like, no, I need to watch it later in the week for coaching.
Dude, I've been saying this for like 20 years. Dude. I watched the game once as a fan. And then I watch it again as a coach. Like, I break down what's happening.
Have they started taking your advice yet? Or
they should.
I mean,
they should. I know the team goddamn well, but I coached Little League and all of that. I like watching the X's and O's. Like, I like the breakdown of the games.
Reading the bios of these guys.
Yeah, dude, I get all into it. And the first time you can't do that, you're just excited to see about how the game goes, right? Yeah. But once I know the outcome, there's no intensity in it anymore, then I can just start to watch who's doing what, how it's happening, and all that. Because I like to get into the strategy of it all.
So did you see that fight over the weekend?
The UFC or the boxing
UFC.
one? Yeah. The fights were awesome. 2 decisions on the entire card. Everyone got knocked out.
Well, what I wanted to talk about was Tony Ferguson. Fucking A. Okay? And did you see he tweeted afterwards, it's just a setback? It's like, bro.
You're done. You've been done.
Yeah, you've lost six in a row,
yeah,
motherfucker.
He's done. No, he's done.
And you were a good fighter.
He was an amazing fighter.
End it.
No, he needs to stop. He's getting into the Chuck Liddell thing of just like he got knocked out a million times in a row. No, Tony's done. He's just trying to get some paychecks, I think. It's too bad because I like him.
Do you think it's just about paychecks? Or I mean, he's such a weirdo, too.
Well, they also don't know what to do.
I like him as a fighter. He's a weirdo as a person.
He's a weird dude. But I mean, the boogeyman thing isn't cutting it anymore. Everyone's got
He's not the boogeyman anymore. Everyone's got his number.
No.
And he's old enough that he can't recover the same way within the fight.
Tony should stop.
Yeah.
Tony should stop. I mean, he's not a main draw anymore. I mean, you make him an early prelim guy to sell some.
Yeah, but even then, why?
Yeah.
What? And honestly, with 6 losses in a fucking row, who's he? He's only qualified to fight in the prelims.
If I were betting on that fight, that seemed like that's an easy win.
I would think Dana won't do it.
Yeah, I don't think Dana will have.
I think if he fights again, he's gonna have to fight in Bellator or something.
Yeah, he'll probably go fight somewhere else.
Or the IF, whatever.
Yeah, I will say that 2 of my favorite fighters. Pound for pound, any fighting organization, whatever, any promotion. I love Gaethje and I love Poirier.
Yeah.
I like both those guys, and their fight was fucking good.
It was. I didn't like that was a BMF thing, right? Because I don't see either of those guys as like the bad guy.
It's like that Nate Diaz, like
Jorge versus Nate. Okay,
that's a BMF fight.
You got two bad motherfuckers. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at.
Yeah, they're warriors.
They're ready to fucking fight.
Yeah, they're warriors,
right? But Gaethje and Poirier, come on.
They don't have that reputation, but I both think they're elite.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I really
they are elite. I
like that fight a lot. And whatever, it makes it because
it is 2 guys who deserve a belt.
It could have been, yeah. That's why they
really what it was about.
That's why they have the belt out there. You win that fight, you deserve something. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I hope they fight again. I'm curious to see what they do with Gaethje now. Now you see that because now it's a big money fight. McGregor's calling out Gaethje.
Well, of course he is.
He's like, oh, come fight me. Fuck, you know what I mean? I'm the big money draw. Like,
Well, she is.
Yeah, Gaethje will fuck up O'Connor McGregor if they fight again.
Have you seen any of the interviews with Diaz? So for one, Diaz definitely has defended Conor with some of the recent stuff, big time. But then also he's said publicly now multiple times. He goes, I would like to, when he's done fucking around with Jake Paul. He said, I would like to come back to the UFC, and I think it makes a lot of sense to do the trilogy with Conor, which I would love.
Yeah.
I don't really care if neither of them are in their prime anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Some fights are just...
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's two guys who love to fucking just slug it out and hit each other.
Yeah, like, I'm okay if you're not in your prime. If you're going to stand there and throw bombs, I'm entertained.
Well, and Conor's a lot bigger.
Yeah, Conor looks
than
huge
he was.
now.
Yeah. I don't know. Did anything ever happen with those sexual assault allegations?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it came up and then it's gone now.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm still a Conor fan. I know that a lot of people, there's a lot of haters out there, but I think that he's just so fucking entertaining.
He's
witty.
He's the
fun.
biggest draw still.
It's like Chael, right?
Yeah.
Both fighters, when I first saw them, I really did not like them. I did because of their attitude.
Yeah.
Right. But then it evolved to where I was like, actually, I kind of fucking like this guy.
Yeah. I think
and they're winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna have a mouth, you got to win.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Got to back it up.
Yeah.
Got to back it up. No, I mean, McGregor fights tomorrow and it's the biggest draw.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Whoever the
it doesn't matter.
It is what it is.
But also, and Conor's attitude today is not what it was like the first time he fought Nate, right? I mean, his attitude was so Dana, I saw a clip where Dana was telling the story about that, and he was supposed to fight for the 145 belt or defend the belt or whatever, right? And then that guy backed out with like a week or something. And so Dana's calling around and he finds Diaz and he says, all right, well, can you do it at 155 then? Conor come up a little bit and he goes, yeah, I can't make 155 because I could do 160 or 165 or something like that, right? And so Dana calls Conor and says, hey, we'll do a swing match, whatever you call that, right?
Catch weight?
A catch weight, 160 or 165. It was one of the two. And Conor goes, no, fuck that. We're doing it at 170. We're doing it at a real weight. And then he lost, right? Because he's way undersized for the fight.
Yeah. But props for doing it.
And then during the second fight, right? So after then Conor came back and won, he says, hey, I can't. So then they did the second one still at 170.
Yeah.
Right. And then he came up and afterwards he goes, next for the third fight, he's coming down to 155 which there's no way if they fight again, they're fighting at 170.
Yeah.
With how big Conor is.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not getting down again.
No, he got huge.
But yeah, I don't know if getting huge was the best decision for him, but maybe it is. I don't know.
He wants to fight for some other belts, I think.
Yeah. I mean, he's already held the other two.
No one's ever owned 3.
That's true.
I think that's got to be what he's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, he's just got to be more active. He was so hungry before.
He's just too wealthy now.
I think really that's what it is. I think he's too wealthy.
He's all about the fucking proper 12.
And the years are, I mean, that's the thing. Your lifespan is so short as a fighter, right?
You got to be active.
Yeah, it's, I don't know.
But I thought overall the card this weekend was really good. There were some good fights. There was a lot of chokeouts. There was a lot of decisions. I mean, not a lot of decisions, but a lot of knockouts. And I thought the card was fun.
Yeah.
I fucking love the UFC, dude.
Yeah, me too.
Especially this time of the year when sports sucks.
It's the best. It's even during football season.
Yeah,
right?
that's good all the time. But it carries me when there's no football, basketball.
Yeah.
Baseball. It's still too early.
Year round.
Yeah,
it's good stuff. Yeah. Baseball, it is still too early.
Yeah, it's too early. Wake me up when September comes.
And even then, it's still. I mean, you get to the World Series, okay.
Yeah.
But if I don't care about either team as well, then it's like, I'll watch it. But it's still not my favorite.
No, I'm with
It's just such a slow-moving game.
Everybody just wants football season to start.
Yeah, football and fighting. You get those two going, and you're in good shape.
It's a good weekend.
Yeah.
Yep.
NBA too. I don't like the NBA until playoff season either. And even then, again, if it's not anyone I care about, it's more exciting than baseball.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. All right. So, everyone make sure that you go out and see Ryan, unless there's anything else you want to talk about. But
no.
make sure you go see Ryan at
August 8th,
This will probably come out after that, but
yeah. Oh yeah, you're right. Good call. Well, yeah. August 8th at Ahwatukee, Cactus Jacks, and then 8/11 Tempe Performance for the Arts.
But if you ever want to find current or up to date things on any of our shows, either of us, just leave a comment on whatever social. We will reply, and we'll make sure that you know when the next show is.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
all right. Cool. All right, brother.
Thanks, man.
All right.